Yeah.
Okay, guys, we are going to come back. We are now live on YouTube, so we're going to come back to the meeting. And Mr. Owens, do you have any more questions? I'm sorry, we interrupted you if you were done with that explanation. And then
Yeah, we just have a little bit more to add. So I just wanted to talk about too, we get a lot more students, especially post-COVID, with a lot more traumatic experiences coming into school. I specifically have a sweet boy that we've worked with for a couple of years, and the data would be really good to show you that as well, is just his reduction in needing our support. He does check in with us proactively, which is another great resource of the care room, and having someone like our behavior technician available for those proactive check-ins to decrease that need in the moment. But the trauma that he's faced outside of school was challenging for him to be able to be attentive in the classroom. So we were able to support that on our end by giving him a safe place and giving him an area and building up those skills so that he could tolerate those academics and he could be present with his class and build that connection with his family in his classroom. So that was, another great aspect of the care room. And then she has some great middle school perspectives.
And at the middle school level, our students more often advocate for themselves. When they feel that they are in need, they need that break for a few moments, whether that be big emotions. Sometimes it might be the crying. For example, it very well could be an anger. I have a specific student who is struggling with anger control. And sometimes he advocates for himself, but there are other times when a teacher just notices that in him and they'll walk by, tap him on the shoulder. I notice that you seem a little upset. Do you need a break? And if he acknowledges yes, he gets his pass put into the lion's den. So our care room is definitely never utilized as a space for a student that is like, I hate to use the word, but in trouble. Like, it is always a preventative to that. So when we notice that the student is having some upset, we want to give them the opportunity and the space to be able to self-regulate, to calm down, talk through whatever their upset is before we end up with an issue that would be, office related. So, but that middle school level, they most often will self-advocate for what they need because they are, at a little bit older age than our littles.
Got it. Yeah, that helped a lot. Thank you so much.
So I want to first say, as having kids in this district for a long time, I've seen from when we didn't have any of this to growing to where it is now. I've had kids that have gone through this whole process and they speak the language when they're at home, and we have learned these habits ourselves at our house, and we use the same kind of coping skills that they learn through having these people on their campus, whether it's in a classroom, like if they go to the chill room or whatever it is on each campus, or even all the teachers. We've seen how the teachers are really learning from each other and they are implementing these things. So sometimes kids don't even have to go to another room to self-regulate. They're able to do that in the classroom. So I would say, I know a point was made that not all these kids need it, and that's true. Not all the kids do, but I do think every kid benefits, because when we're able to help a child who's not in a great place and is not able to learn, they tend to take away from the other students who are trying to learn in the classroom. So by having this space and removing those students temporarily to get themselves in a better place, or allowing the other students in the classroom to continue learning. So I think that's really important. I do want to ask you a question, just for the people who think that this is just so kids can go shoot basketball hoops because they don't want to be in class, right?
Yeah.
How do you guys answer that question? Because we hear that a lot, right? This is just a way for kids to, they don't want to deal with class right now, so they're going to go shoot hoops and have fun and not have to do the schoolwork.
I will tell you from that middle school perspective, our behavior tech, Don Mosier, does a phenomenal job of being able to identify that. And students will even say to us, I don't want to go there. She makes me work. She makes me think. She makes me talk about what I'm upset about. So they figure out early on that if they're just trying to do a little work avoidance for a little while, she puts them through a little more rigorous work that they would much rather go to the academic stuff. So they do figure that out real quick, like, but she does such a great job of being able to go through her steps with every single kid that walks through the door, that they know, like, she means business when they get there. She is there to help and support and guide them to get them back to class in a reasonable time. So, yeah. How about yours?
And then I think on my end, the only thing I would add to that, much like she mentioned, I talked about the structured aspect of entering and exiting the room. So there are points that all students have to hit when they come in the room. So they know that this is how I enter the room. These are the steps I go through, and this is the area I end up in. And then I work my way back out of that brain, back into the right part of my brain so I can return back to class and utilizing that exit ticket. The other thing we do to support that is the data that we do collect. We talk with the teachers about that. So as I mentioned in the whole child and the RTI process, so that's a communication timeframe that we're having with our teachers all the time. So we're saying, hey, we're noticing an increase in here with this student, so we can have those talks back and forth. So they're aware of what's happening with their student, because it is ultimately their student. We want that to be the strongest connection with their home, with their classroom teacher. So the teacher's a part of that team in developing what their student does in that room and how they're utilizing it. And then finally, I think the biggest answer to that question is educating people on the room. So on our campus, our room is used as a training tool as well. So some professional developments are held in that room. All students are brought in on our campus in the beginning of the year. They're taught how the brain works. They're taught how to respond, their coping skills, much like you mentioned that your children utilize, which I'm glad to hear at home. So they're all taught that. They're also taught the components of the room along with their teacher. So like the videos and the different things that I've recorded and I've supported, our teachers come into the room and they understand how it works. They understand exactly what their students are doing in that room and what options are available to them. So I think it really goes back to the education on what is happening in that room and bringing all of our, partners in to that room and showing them what we're doing.
Okay, and my last question would be parent communication. So when we have students that are using these rooms for the various reasons, what is the communication to the parents or caregivers so that they know how they can also support their students at home?
You want me to, you go?
I know just for one on our campus, when we do have a student that is frequently utilizing that space, the advisor is usually having those conversations with the parents. And it is really just to bring them in the know on what's happening. Your student had some upset today. This is what happened. This is how they got through it. So just making sure that, but we usually do that on one that's more like often happening. If it is just a student that is ending up in there once or twice, as long as their upset is de-escalated and it wasn't anything major, then we get them back into class. But anything that is repetitive, we definitely are communicating with the parents. So because they're a team, we want to make sure our team as a whole family and a school family are together so that we can help support the child, see if there's upset at home and whatnot that's bringing it into school.
And then again, the only thing I would add to that is we utilize, as the coach and the advisor, we utilize our tiered process as well. So when I notice a student is entering quite frequently or more often, then I would go back to my flow chart, my behavior flow chart, and kind of look at, is that a time where I need to have a meeting with the parents and bring them in on that tiered 2 process and kind of look at the different components of that and what interventions do I need to put into place? Or is this more of maybe a traumatic circumstance or something happened at home? And so that gives me the opportunity to call home and check in and see how I can best support that family if it's not something that we're seeing a pattern to. That behavior doesn't have a pattern. So maybe it is a rough morning, or I know we've all had those mornings as parents where we're, kind of kicking them out of the car a little fast and things like that. So their child's just a little emotional. Or is it that there's a pattern happening with that data? And I'm noticing that, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Johnny's always with me and coming into the care room. And how can I proactively meet those needs and bring the family in on that? So the data helps drive that as well, using our behavior flow chart and our tiered process that we have.
Thank you so much for this information. I look forward to the data pieces too for us, but I think this is really great information. I'm glad that I hope lots of people are paying attention on YouTube and getting to learn about this, because it's, I think, a very important part of what makes our district so special. So I appreciate that you guys came and shared this. Did anybody else have anything else?
No, thank you very much. Great presentation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is our community opportunity for comment. We have two speakers. I'm going to read this disclaimer. So let me read this disclaimer first. Pursuant to ARS 38-431.01H, this agenda item provides an open call to the public, allowing individuals to address the governing board on any issue within the jurisdiction of the board. Items not listed on the agenda may be brought to the governing board's attention under this section of the agenda. Due to the Arizona open meeting law, the governing board cannot discuss or take any action on items not listed on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01H, response to public comment about matters not appearing on the agenda will be limited to individual board members who may ask staff to study the matter, respond to any criticism, or ask that the matter be put on a future agenda for further consideration and decision at a later date. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes, and no more than 30 minutes will be devoted to the public comment portion of the agenda. When you approach the podium, please state your name for the record. Our first comment tonight will be from Mike Finnegan.
Hello, my name is Mike Finnegan. As I said at the last meeting, you have to know where you are to get where you want to be. And tonight with the behavior program or any program in the school, if you're not measuring its performance and what is return on investment it's giving you, then maybe it's not worth having. I also said last time, if leadership is not held accountable, then they have no incentive to change what needs to be changed. This is also true for students. If students are not held accountable, then they have no incentive to change what needs to be changed. This time last year, you instituted new dress code provisions, I suppose, to help with behavior situations and performance and behavior. You also had a discipline problem with boys at that time. Kim Moran said that they probably need emotional intelligence. That could be, but at this school, there's really no male role models at school for these boys to emulate. And with the schools introducing transgenderism pronouns and queer chat rooms, this just adds to a boy's confusion of what his identity should be. You have also 2 teachers last year in March were up for unprofessional conduct. Did student misbehavior finally get the best of them and add to their teacher stress? We talked about how stressed out teachers are last time. So if you really wanted to destroy public education, then the first thing you do is close the schools for a year. You did that, and now I think you're dealing with a lot of repercussions from that. But behavior problems have been a situation at LESD for a long time. The lion's den. If I was a student misbehaving in the classroom and I get sent to the Chillville, doesn't sound very threatening, does it? I don't know what I'm going to learn there, what my consequences are, but I got the puzzle zone to pick to get comfortable with, or I can go on the comfy couch and feel really good about that. Or I could go to the Zen zone and meditate. Getting a lot done here. Or I could do some drawing or the coloring zone and maybe go to the fidget zone. Sounds like a pretty good deal if I'm misbehaving in the classroom to go into the Chillville. Not very bad repercussions there. I don't know what the consequences are. It's going to change behavior, but that's what you guys are doing. The cafeteria is noisy and crowded and upsets the kids. Well, maybe that should be looked at and monitored more closely.
Time's up, Mr. Finnegan.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tracy Smith.
All right. Sorry, So this month actually marks an important part of Black culture. It's Black History Month.
Can I
Last-
have you, please
sorry.
make sure you speak into the mic so that everybody can hear you.
apologize.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so this month actually marks an important part of Black culture is Black History Month. My son came home the first week and stated that his friends were taking it upon themselves to do something nice or kind for him or another Black student every day to help them celebrate due to the school and not acknowledging Black History Month. As a parent, it did hurt my feelings to hear that my child was occupying a space and was not being seen. I reached out to the school and was told they could not stray from the curriculum, which is understandable and justifiable to an extent. This month has been in effect by Congress since 1986, even further by Black people. So there really is no reason why it's not integrated into the curriculum. As a parent, I do my best to expose my child to achievements and current events of influential African Americans and hope this effort is met with a partnership with my children's educators. With the absence of the acknowledgement of this month, it does a disservice to any African American students in this district. Moving to this district, I was well aware that my children would not see those who look like them in faculty positions, and I accepted that fact due to wanting my kids to have a better education. However, doing that, I did not think my kid would be invisible, which is exactly how they feel at this moment. I spoke with other parents who are also Black who've made the same suggestions and were like, I don't get it. They don't talk about it. They don't acknowledge it. It's disregarded. And like, I grew up in a very culturally diverse county in California. So for me, it was a little daunting that it's not even brought up. The most my child has ever talked about any Black history is Martin Luther King, which as a Black person, that's common sense because it's Martin Luther King. They do not go into the subject. There wasn't even a newsletter about it. And as a Black person who lives in this district, who pays taxes here, that's kind of hurtful. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda, we are going to move on to the consent agenda. Do we have, I'm going to go down and see if anybody has anything they would like to either take off or ask questions on. I will start with you, Ms. Clymer.
I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Owens,
I do not.
Mr. Honak, do you have anything you'd like to remove or ask questions about on the consent agenda?
No, but actually, I do have a request that we could put on the agenda regarding.
Mr. Honak?
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, we're having a sound issue. I'm trying to talk.
Ms. Moran, do you have something you would like to ask questions about or remove from the consent agenda?
Yes, I have a question and a comment, one on item 6T, the 9C leadership program, and the other on 6V, the Title I and self-contained stipends.
We're going to hold on just a second so we can figure out what's going on. Just 1 second.
I gotta get the chat thing going here.
Hi guys, they're aware that they can't hear us and they're working on figuring it out.
Okay, we just heard Michael. So is Ms. Moran and Mr. Honak able to speak?
This is Jeremy. I'm trying to talk.
Okay,
Can you-
Jeremy. Ms.
Can you
Moran,
hear me?
we can. Ms. Moran, can we hear you?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go back. Mr. Honak, do you have anything you would like to remove from the consent agenda or ask a question about?
No, I don't, but I had one thing I would like to put on the agenda that one of the speakers spoke about tonight, if I could mention that briefly.
We can't do that at this second, but
Well, I didn't have an opportunity after we jumped right into this next agenda here, and I was trying to say something.
something as a future agenda item from the speaker. What would you like to put as a future agenda item, Mr. Honak?
I am very moved by, we have a whole lot of equity and stuff that we talk about, but what I was raised with some big heroes in my life. One of them is a gentleman by the name of Frederick Douglass, and George Washington Carver, and there are many, many other people. And I would like to see that we did do something that not, would fit with Black History Month, but not just because it's Black history, because it's American history. And these are our treasured heroes that we don't seem to hear enough about.
Okay.
So I think we should explore that. That's all.
Okay, so you would like us to consider a future agenda item talking about something in regards to Black History Month, like the speaker said?
Yeah, to add to our regular history, just to because I just know there's a lot of people. I can give you a big long list of people that are just phenomenal.
They're making a note of that, so we'll have them put that on a future agenda item.
Thank you. Then
sorry,
we're good.
Earlier. Okay, Ms. Moran, do you have anything you'd like to ask questions about or pull from the consent agenda?
Yes, I have questions or comments on two items. Item 6T, which is the 9Cs leadership program, and item 6V, which is the Title I and self-contained stipends.
Okay, would you like to ask those questions or make those comments now? Those are not removed, right? Just questions.
Yeah, no, I don't think they need to be removed. I just have some clarifying questions on those items. So
Okay.
I'll start with item 6T, which is the approval of the 9Cs leadership coaching. My questions are basically how this program was selected and how it fulfills the mental health component that we're trying to accomplish. Let's start with those questions, please.
Just 1 second.
Thank you. Hello, Board President, members of the board, Board Member Moran. I'm sorry, could you repeat the questions? This is John Scudder, Title I Director.
Hi, Mr. Scudder. Yes, my first question is, how was this program selected? And how does this program fulfill the mental health component that we're trying to accomplish with these ESSER funds?
Yeah, so as we met with the middle school principals, when we were made aware that these ESSER funds were coming, we talked about needs in the middle schools, and the specific needs that came up across the campuses were things like goal setting, prioritization, organization, delaying gratification. These are the things that the middle schoolers were struggling with that were getting in the way of academic achievement. So we looked at a number of different programs, leadership programs that address these skills, and we ended up choosing TDH coaching, both because their model of the 9 C's, the 9 conversations, aligned really closely with those needs I just said, but also because they come in the school and deliver it. So what was nice about that is we didn't add anything to the teacher's plate. So basically the program will run from this month, February through May, and it's going to hit about 1,500 students at the 5 participating schools. And I feel like I missed something. Board Member Moran, what was your second question?
It was really just how this fulfills the mental health component, but I think you answered some of that.
Okay, I would also add, if it's okay, I think if we think of mental health as a spectrum, and on one side we have some of the severe, significant needs a student would have, this would address more the other end of the spectrum, where you might have students who outwardly, seemingly are doing fine, but we're just not seeing that in the academics, right? They're missing some of those skills that might really help in that area. And I think this is going to address that.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have a couple more questions. When I see this program, it's called 9 C's Leadership, and I know that we already have Leader in Me, which obviously is using some of, part of the same word. So it makes me think, are we overlapping this? Is this something, we've heard great accolades from Leader in Me. We've been doing that at Heritage for a number of years. We now have Rancho who's on board with Leader in Me. I understand that Leader in Me is more expensive and it is more of a long-term commitment. But my question is really, are we considering as a district picking a program and going with it if we can see that leadership skills are something that's going to impact our students positively. It just seems like we have a hesitation to institute consistency. And I'm just afraid this might be more of a, we've got this 60,000 to spend, so let's spend it now. So I just want to know a little bit more about that, and maybe give me some comfort or confidence that this is really the best program to do the job.
Yeah, so I think you brought up an important question. So we have, of course, Leader in Me at Verado Heritage. We've started it at Rancho, and another Title I school, we're starting it at Barbara Roby. I'm a big fan, not that it matters what I individually think, but I am a big fan of in case anyone was wondering, I am a big fan of Leader in Me. However, it is a significant cost and time commitment, to make for all of our schools. So I'm not saying that's the wrong decision. This TDH coaching, I would say, lies somewhere in between what we used to do historically, which is, bring in a motivational speaker. I think we've probably all been through that experience before, and it can be positive, but it's kind of a one and done, and it's hard to measure the impact of that. So that's on one side, and then Leader in Me would be a level of commitment all the way on the other side. So this is somewhere in the middle. I think your point is very valid, but this is something that, given everything we're doing, I think the middle schools were more comfortable, 5 of them were more comfortable getting on board with this as kind of a first step or a way of testing this to see if it'll be effective. Does that make sense, Board Member Moran?
Yes, that does. Thank you for the information. My last question is that in the presentation that was attached, or the information that was attached about this item, there are a couple of different rollouts, I would call it, that some of the schools will implement to 30 students per grade, so 120 students on their campus, and some schools will implement to the entire campus. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Will the identification of those students participating be similar to what we just heard from our care room and our behavior techs, or tell me more about that?
Yes, so we have, as you mentioned, 2 different models going on, and we really wanted to work with the middle schools to see what would work best for their individual schedules. And so 2 of our middle schools chose more of a school-wide model, so impacting more students less often. And then 3 of them were doing more of the model you were just talking about, where 30 to 40 students per grade level. And yes, those students will be selected based on need. In this case, these particular needs that will match up, these leadership skills, so that we can kind of get the most bang from our buck for that group of students. And our hope, of course, is that by having those students improve with academics, that it impacts the entire campus. They're in class with other students and so on. But it also gives us the opportunity to see these 2 different models. And as we look at the pre and post survey data, we'll be able to see, I think, is there a difference between these 2 implementations moving forward?
Okay, excellent. And I trust that we as a board will get that data at some point down the road. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the questions you have on your next item.
Yes, a question, it's really more of a comment on item 6V, which is the approval to pay returning Title I and self-contained certified employees and administration a one-time retention stipend. I feel a level of commitment to these ESSER funds because when we were given these funds, it was very important to the board, and we communicated that we wanted all of those dollars, every single dollar, to go toward learning loss and that gap. And I just want, in full transparency, to say that for me, paying these Title I and self-contained certified employees this one-time stipend fulfills that request, because our Title I schools have struggled with retention, and this is a great way, I think, for us to utilize, and self-contained, to utilize those funds to help ensure there is more consistency than maybe there would be otherwise by paying out these stipends.
Thank you. I have nothing to pull off the agenda either. So if that is all the comments that we have, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, having a first and a second, I will call for the vote. Mr. Honak, how do you vote?
Sorry, I was looking at the agenda items. Aye.
Ms.
my
Moran,
vote.
Yay.
Ms. Clymer,
Yay.
Mr. Owens.
Yay.
I'm also a yay. Motion passes. Next up on the agenda is, we will be needing a motion to go into executive session.
I move that we move into executive session.
Sorry, I don't know the right wording for that.
I'll second.
Having a first and a second, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Clymer,
Yay.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Honak,
Aye.
Ms. Moran.
Yay.
I'm also a yay. Motion passes. We are going to be in executive session now. Thank you.
Testing.
And come back and reconvene our regular meeting. There's no motion needed, Amy, right? No motion. Okay. Okay, so. Oh, wait, sorry. Jeremy and Kim, are you on?
I'm here.
I'm
Can you hear
here.
me?
Okay, perfect. Sorry, we're gonna move forward now.
Are we moving on to number 10?
Yes,
Okay.
we are on to number 10.
I move to approve direction to legal counsel as per the executive session.
I second.
Okay, having a motion and a second, I'm gonna call for the vote. Ms. Clymer,
Yay.
Mr. Owens,
Yay.
Mr. Honak,
Yay.
Ms. Moran,
Yay.
and I'm a yay, so motion passes. Next up on the agenda will be the first reading of policy revision JFABDA admissions of students in foster care. This will be done by Ms. DeCose. Oh, hold on, we can't hear you, sorry.
Sorry. Okay, can you hear me? It's good. So good evening, everyone. We have the updated policy and you have copies of it. It's the admission of students in foster care, JFA BDA. This is the first read. I'm just wondering if you read through and have any questions.
Sorry, Ms. Clymer, do you have any questions?
Oh, I can just go ahead. I just had one question. No changes or anything requested, but it does say that we need to have a district point of contact.
Mhm.
Is that one point of contact for the entire district, or every campus will need to have their own, or how does that work?
Our district point of contact will be in student services. That's our McKinney-Vento homeless liaison. So
Okay, and
we
they'll
have-
handle all
we have a
those.
position for that. Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Owens,
No questions.
Mr. Honak, any questions?
Sorry, I was trying to read it very fast. So
Ms. Moran, do you have any questions?
No, I read the policy and I have no questions.
I have no questions either. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll be back for a second read.
Okay, next up on the agenda is the strategic plan 2019 to 2024 update, the district services survey results from fall 2022, and this will be by Superintendent Gunning.
Madam President, members of the governing board, we are rolling out our results from our district services survey. This is the survey that goes out to employees internally to measure the customer service that is occurring from an internal perspective from our departments. It aligns directly to our strategic plan. This survey, along with an employee engagement survey, which we'll be rolling out in the near future, along with our student engagement and parent engagement survey, gives us valuable feedback on the performance that we are doing, and then enables us to set specific goals and strategies to align based on that feedback. First, we review the survey results, and then we have an intentional process of rolling out the survey results within those departments to obtain input, and employees within the departments are a part of the action plan. And then we continuously monitor on an annual basis the goals set forth. The purpose of the rollout is to be transparent in communication process, and it's for all of our leaders. Years ago, we would have surveys, but a lot of times we just didn't follow through with the rollout process. So this makes it a complete cycle for rolling it out, getting feedback, setting goals, and then monitoring progress. In the district services survey, they focus on 5 key areas: accessibility, accuracy, attitude, operations, and timeliness. Participation back in fall of 2021 was 207, and our overall mean was a 4.02. And you're always looking for a 4.0 or above. 5.0 is top. This year, we had 276 participants, and you can see our overall mean increased from a 4.02 to a 4.27. So with that, we set intentional goals. So the goal will be, we're almost right there to that 4.29 and above, which is basically a status quo. So we'll make gains and improvement and work to gain that score, increase that score by 0.05. Our areas of our greatest strengths were attitude, a nice experience. This is in relation to the cabinet feedback. Accuracy, and did we get the right results? And you can see even in the top box score, so not only do you get the overall mean, but then you can see what percentage of people actually scored us in the highest ranking box. Areas for greatest opportunity were operations, day-to-day running of efficiently. And in those areas, we're still scored very well, 4.12 and 4.2. But, and the top box was also very high, but those will be our areas for our greatest opportunity to set goals. Upcoming timelines, our employee engagement survey was completed by the end of December, and we'll be rolling out that information actually just right now, currently, with our principals that will be taking it back and rolling that out during the month of February with their employees. Student and parent surveys are already sent out, and they're in the process currently. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Clymer, did you have any questions?
I just had one question or just clarification on the slide just before that on slide 9. You have your greatest strengths and your greatest opportunities. In that bottom box, the greatest opportunities, it says operations day-to-day run efficiently, but then you have different scores on the right-hand side. So are those supposed to be different?
I think there was a typo there.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I'm like, those are different scores. So, okay.
Mr. Owens, did you have any questions?
What's the total participation possible? So wait, 276 participate. What's the number that could have participated?
Number that could have participated is we do actually send it out to all employees. So there's a total of about 1,500 employees, but you only take it if it's applicable, like you have interacted with that department. So that's where it can be kind of hard. So there are each different particular department. So let's say, for example, there could be someone in a department that may not fill out for cabinet because they haven't had any direct interaction or receive services from cabinet. So they would mark NA. So sometimes it's kind of difficult. When Studer originally started it, they recommended that you only send it to your top leadership group, like your principals, your directors, for scoring other departments, your office managers, secretarial type positions. But we had already sent it out to all of our employees because we felt like there were so many different people that, like teachers a lot of times, or staff, are interacting with payroll and human resources. So we stayed consistent with that. So we do send it out to all employees, but it can get a little skewed on the volume just because of that NA component.
So does the 276 doesn't include NA? And then it doesn't include.
It could be that they even they might not have filled it out at all because they felt like they didn't have any interaction with any department. So yes, the 276 would be people that actually responded in some way, shape, or form. It could have even been just one department.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Honak, did you have any questions or comments?
No questions.
Ms. Moran?
Yeah, I just have a request. If we could get the raw data, if you will, not raw exactly, but if we could get the detailed results, including any feedback. I'm not sure if this survey has an open-ended question as well for just general feedback. If we could get that included in a Friday update, I would appreciate seeing more of the data.
Yeah, we'll send the overall summary.
Yeah, is there like a comment section for
There
these?
is a comment section, yes.
Okay. Those might be helpful.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for that.
Overall, I will say congratulations on 4.27. That's not only a major jump, but very hard to get. I know everyone wants a 5.0, but just getting here is a big deal. So congratulations on that.
And we're going to move on to the next item on our agenda is the aggregate performance classifications of principals and teachers. And this will be presented by Ms. DeCose.
Good evening again. So I'll do a little recap of this. We do it annually. And this is basically a summary of the performance classifications of principals and teachers from the previous school year. So once evaluations are finished and scores are totaled, I have no presentation, so just you can ignore that. You have the paper attached to your board docs. These are submitted to the Arizona Department of Education per their requirements, and also ADE requires that performance levels for teachers and principals be classified accordingly: highly effective, effective, developing, and ineffective. So that's why all of our evaluations are written the way that they're written. So you will see in chart under A that all 16 principals performed in the highly effective category. And in chart B, in the highly effective category, 454 teachers, in effective category, 10, and 2 in the developing category. Do you have
Does anyone have any questions, Ms. Clymer?
Will you define teacher? I know that's a funny question, but is it all certified here? Is it coaches? Is it everybody, or is it just strictly classroom teachers?
It's all certified staff.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Owens, any questions?
What happens when people receive the scores? So for example, basically just the 2 10s and the two developing, what happens to them?
Well, the teachers that fell in the developing range, it depends on just developing overall. Nothing happens to them per se, but if there were any ineffectives in that on that evaluation that could have brought the score down low enough to put it in the developing category, an improvement plan, a teacher plan for improvement could be possible.
Got it.
But so what you don't see here, you see the low score and the high score. So it's telling you that, 2 people fell between 34 and 68, and that's okay because we have sometimes brand new teachers that may fall in that range, and that's perfectly normal to be developing.
Correct. Yeah, I assume that there's variables. There's, things that if they're new or whatever, I just, if somebody's developing 2 years in a row or repeat continuous, I just didn't know if there was some type of like you talked about. So, okay, thanks.
Mr. Honak, did you have any questions?
No questions.
Ms. Moran?
Yeah, I just have a comment. It's the same comment I've made in years past, which is that, we see these ratings and we see the low and high score. And I just want folks to if you do the math on that, we're saying that a highly effective principal has a score of 68%. So we wouldn't say a student is getting an A with a 68%. And to equate that to the teachers, 72% and higher is highly effective. And to get a developing as a teacher, you would have to have below 59%. So I just want us to think about where our standards are. I mean, we look successful compared to these standards, but where is the bar here? And I know that this is something that I brought up numerous times in the past, and I just think we're missing the mark here on how we are classifying our performance of our teachers and principals.
I agree.
Thank you, Ms. Clymer or Mr. Owens. Did you have any other things? You're good.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions either. Thank you. Okay, next up on the agenda is our learning recovery scorecard update from Superintendent Gunning.
Madam President, members of the governing board, we wanted to provide an update in regards to our learning recovery, which is this component's funded by not only the governor's grant, but also ESSER $3. You can see that the items that are highlighted were updated numbers. So we had a lot of of updates from a financial perspective, so you could see the cost. And if there's any budget still available. I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Ms. Clymer, did you have any questions?
I don't have any specific questions. Thank you for the information.
Mr. Owens,
No questions, thanks.
Mr. Honak,
No questions.
Ms. Moran.
Believe it or not, I have no questions on this topic.
I also have no questions. Thank you for getting this to us. I like seeing all the updates.
Can I just add that I do appreciate the highlights and the addition of the budgeted and committed and original budget amounts that were added per the board's request.
Agreed, seconded. We are going to move on now to our reports. The first report will be from Superintendent Gunning.
Madam President, members of the governing board. First, I would like to start off with a celebration of Sam Nuana has won an ASPR award just this past week. We were able to celebrate him on the amazing work that he has done with his videos, and his video was highlighted at the award ceremony. Also, over the last month, yes, give him a big round of applause, dedicated to telling our story. Also, this last month, we were able to celebrate our national board certified teachers by actually going into their classrooms and bringing balloons and just dropping in unexpectedly. And that was so much fun to see the shock on their face and to just see the pride and how warm they felt of being appreciated for all the hard work. You could just see it actually come out in just sheer joy. And then also this past month, we have had 5 other districts reaching out to us for our expertise in the areas of special needs and mental health in relation to our care rooms, job descriptions and structures, and ideas and supports as we support our children who have special needs as well.
Thank you. We are going to move on to our reports from the governing board members, and I'm going to start with Mr. Owens.
Thanks. Yeah, so this is my 4th meeting up here. Still figuring out how to work the microphone and what to do with my hands. But really the highlight, oh geez, there we go. Really the highlight of last week was I got to go into 2 kindergarten classes at Litchfield Elementary School and read out loud. And it was so cool. I have a 4-year-old, and like seeing what she's going to be like in a couple years was really cool, and how they like listened to the teachers and they all this stuff, and how patient the kindergarten teachers were with them, and how they're just so cute. And I read a really cute book that I'm going to get my daughters, and I asked questions, and I didn't get any questions. I just got a lot of stories about things that they do at home, and I'm looking forward to doing more of that. So I just wanted to share that. That was my cool thing for I did.
Wonderful. Ms. Clymer.
I will second that. I also read for World Read Aloud Day. I don't think we crossed paths that day, but I also read to a kindergarten 1st grade class. So I'll give a shout out to Mrs. Shibley's 1st grade class and Mrs. Galather's kindergarten class. And I also met a neighbor of mine. Mrs. Galather lives on my street. So there we go. Community all around. But thank you for Katie Hill for inviting me. And I think we have another opportunity coming up in March. So we will be there for that for sure. I also wanted to just say thank you to Director Vaughn, Director Reichs, and really the entire admin team for the presentation last week, 2 weeks ago. I forget, we've been meeting a lot in the last month. For your efforts in preparing the budget documents. There's so much that goes into it. And I feel like this springtime, not only with contracts and teacher retention and all of that, we're also dealing with the budget and every single thing that goes into it. So thank you to everyone who worked to put that presentation together and to answer all of our questions and to help us navigate through it, since we don't do it nearly every day like you do. So I appreciate those efforts. I also just want to say a quick shout out to the schools that provided us with goodies and t-shirts, and the district admin for cups and just all kinds of stuff for us to be good ambassadors for our district. So when we're on your campus and we're doing a tour, or we're out and about and we can wear shirts from different campuses and have different gears. So thank you for those of you that sent those things. They really mean a lot. And now I'm fully suited, I think, to go to just about every single school and dress the part. So much appreciated.
Ms. Moran, did you want to go next?
Sure. For my board report this month, I attended an ASBA webinar on budget basics. I believe that as a school board member, you can never know enough about funding and budgeting. It's a very important part of our role and responsibility. And this month, we did also spend time at the budget study session. I echo board member Clymer's comments on the appreciation for that information that's provided that helps to give us an idea of where we have flexibility, where we don't have flexibility, and also gives us time to consider our options when it comes time to having to make those final decisions. So that data is very, very important to that process. I also attended the district spelling bee, which was an excellent event. I'm always impressed with the level of knowledge our students have acquired in their years with us. And I'm with President Zeidema. There were a few words that were new to me, and I had to learn what they were and what they meant. And I loved that because I love learning new things. The last thing is actually today, I attended the Agua Fria Union High School District Curriculum and Conversation event. I am a parent of a child in the high school district, but I also value staying informed on the initiatives and programs that our current students in Litchfield will have the opportunity to participate in the future. So the session was very informative, and their administration's transparency and accountability was really impressive. So if you have students in the high school district, or if you're just curious as to what's going on in our high school, of course, you could go to those board meetings. But I think these curriculum and conversation opportunities are less formal and a great opportunity for you to ask questions to their administration. I'm going to close my board report with lyrics from Sam Smith's song, Love Me More. Their artistry is an inspiration to me. It used to burn, every insult, every word, but it helped me learn to sit with sorrow, and eventually it set me free. Thank you.
Mr. Honak.
Yeah, I just want to do a shout out to all the principals and all the schools, the school spirit, and all the nice, I got a goodie bag that was really neat with a lot of t-shirts and things that people put thought into. It was really great to see that spirit. And as a bonus, Megan Duplain actually came by on her way to a camping trip and dropped it off. And that was really nice. And her daughter was in my son's class many years ago, and I think her daughter's a nurse, and my son is in medical school, and so who would have thought? And I'd also really appreciate Melissa Zeidema, our board president, in communication is very good under these circumstances, and I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you. So I'll make mine really short so that we can get out of here quickly. This has not been a long month. We've only had like 2 weeks since our last regular meeting, but I feel like I have worked more this past month than I did all last year, maybe as a board member. Taking on board president has been way more than I ever thought. Sometimes you think you know what you're doing, and then you find out it's going to be totally different than what you expected. But we are moving forward and doing the best we can. I'm going to keep sitting up here and making the best decisions I can, thinking about what's best for students, and even when they're hard sometimes. I was able to go to the spelling bee and learn some words, as I said earlier. That was nice. I liked seeing that. I love the joyful things we get to do with our kids and see where they're just getting to shine. That's really important to me to see that. I also got to go read at Litchfield, which was awesome. I read to a first grade class and a fourth grade class, and I let them pick the book, and both classes picked the same book. So I thought that was pretty cool. The Girl Who Never Makes Mistakes. And so we got to read that and talk, and they were like the same conversations. I was like thinking they're fourth graders and first graders, they're going to be totally different, but no, they were just all the same. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a this. And my favorite, I have to say, the first graders all wanted to tell me what they wanted to be when they grew up. And I had 3, I was going to try to narrow it down, but there was 3 that were super awesome. So one, I want to be a substitute. And I said, oh, we're going to hire you as soon as you are able to do that. We had another one that said, I want to be a teacher just like my teacher, Miss Migray, and I want to be just like her because she's the best. So I thought that was super cute that her kids love her so much. And then the last one was, I want to be a singer, scientist, magician. She can't wait to be on stage and sing and do science things while doing magic tricks. So I thought that was super cute. We also did the budget meeting. I appreciate that everybody participated and had lots of good feedback. We got lots of great information from the district. I hope our staff members are watching these budget discussions because I know there's stuff coming up and it's kind of scary sometimes to people, but if you watch our meetings, I feel like you're going to know what's going on. So just definitely pay attention, especially when we're having our budget talks. I hope that you guys are, tuning into YouTube at those times. And just lots of conversations with various people in the district. We are starting our search for the new superintendent. So meeting with the search firm, getting that going, working with Director Reichs on all the things we have to do to get that going. So it has been a very busy time, but I believe that this district is a great district to be, and we're going to keep making decisions as a board and that we feel are best for students. So I hope that everybody will just keep tuning in, see what's happening and understand that that's what we're trying to do. And with that, that's the end of my report.
Can I
Thank
say
you
one
to-
more thing before, are you wrapping for
Go ahead.
adjournment or no?
No, because I had one more thing, but go.
Oh, okay. No, go ahead. I thought you were adjourning.
Nope, not my job anymore to do that.
That's right.
I was going to bring up the thank you to our administrators that send in the reports. They give us really useful information. I like to go through them. I love the ones that send in pictures because they're fun to see, but I also look at all your guys' Facebook pages because I think that's super fun to see the pictures and the different events that are going on. And a lot of times there's similar things that are on both. So sometimes I have to be like, wait, where did I see that? Was it their report or was it on their page? But so we really appreciate you guys sharing that information out there. It's really helpful to us and we do appreciate you guys putting those together.
I just wanted to say thank you to the administrators in the audience tonight. It's nice to see your face. We don't see you at every meeting, but thanks for coming tonight. And for teachers and everyone else who's here, we like seeing your smiling faces. So thank you.
Yeah, normally we just look out and it's nobody. So thanks for coming.
Well, all the people that are on YouTube don't get to see the faces in here. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those that came tonight. Thank you.
And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I will second.
Okay, I'm going to call for the vote. Ms. Moran,
Aye.
Mr. Honak,
Aye.
Mr. Owens,
Yay.
Ms. Clymer,
Yay.
and I am a yay.